Ashley, how you doing?
Hey there, Meg.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Pretty good. So, introductions. If anyone's watching, this is Ashley, aka Shorttails Sweetie 2 on Instagram now,
Now,
right?
yeah, now it's the two now because I got
Cool.
hacked.
I hate that. Okay, so today we are talking about short tails and boas. And I am very, very excited to do this because I am one of the people who has only ever had experience with ball pythons. So I'm interested, right? The basic run of the mill. But I'm very
That's okay.
interested.
That's okay. We all got to learn somewhere.
Yeah, girl. So you keep, what do you mostly keep?
I keep a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Um, I went down. I went down a bad rabbit hole.
Don't we all?
So, the story started. My best friend and I walked into a pet store and we were looking at a pet store in town that just opened up and we checked them out, held a couple snakes and I was like, "Oh, I remember what it was like, when you're a small kid and they have like the big retic over your shoulders." Like it gave
Yes.
me that nostalgic feel. So I was like, "That's really cool." And we were talking, it'd be cool to own one, wouldn't it? And then I think probably 2 weeks later, we put a deposit on a male and a female of rainbow boas,
Nice.
babies. Those were technically like our first snakes. And then while doing research on those guys, um, and going to an expos to try and talk to more people about them, um, I ran into my ball python breeders, bigger, better balls, and I bought um, a coral glow, a little banana coral glow ball python. So
Oh,
there was that. We brought the male Brazilian home at the time. They can be expensive at times. Um, and
it
then
really
while
fluctuates.
I know, yeah, and then while kind of paying off my female, I went back in there and I was looking at more snakes again because that was just my hangout. And I saw a blood python and I was like, what does a blood python look like? What does a short-tailed python look like? So one of the girls at the store showed me a pair and I kind of fell in love with how they looked. Here's my little guest. This is
Oh,
Ma.
hello.
So
Ma just
yeah,
said
her Ma Kali after like the Hindi goddess.
Makali. Yes, I love that. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, was she the goddess of rebirth and destruction? So I was like, "Oh, I love
Yes.
it."
That's amazing. That's perfect. That's perfect.
Right? So yeah, I fell in love with her and that was quite a story because she was sold to me as a he and I
Oh.
was under the assumption that this was a man. So then I named him at the time Ramses, the Courage of the Cowardly Dog episode. It was like
I love that.
the eyes kind of gave me that feel, and I was like, I love it.
It
Return the
was giving off
slab.
that energy. I love that. That's
And
great.
then like 6 months, yeah, 6 months later, I was like, the pure size of this girl or man, whoever snake is pretty quite large. And I haven't seen blue hemipenes, essentially, what snakes have for their reproductive organs. So I went back in there and we sexed him and we were like, oh, this is a female.
No.
Yeah,
How big had
yeah.
she gotten at that point?
So I got her when she was about, I want to say 2, and she's probably about 5 this year. She's 5 years old, so I think she's pretty much reached her full capacity. I'm 5'8", like 5'7", 5'8", and she pretty much is almost my size when I lift her up. Um,
Wow.
yeah,
She's a
it's pure
long
thickness.
girl.
and thickness. And I think that's why I fell in love with the short tail species is because it's not like an anaconda or a retic or a BCC where I have to worry about, oh my God, the snake's going to be like 10 to 15 snakes, or
Right.
feet, I should say. And then it's a big girl but a smaller package.
Right. You're
And
kind of
that's
getting the
why I
best of
love
both
them.
worlds.
Yeah. And then I got into the Borneos, and then I really wanted a Sumatran. That's still on my list. But I definitely feel like I found my soul species of snake.
The
I do
short
keep boas
tails.
too. Yeah, I do have boas. I do have a corn snake, a hognose, a skink, some geckos, and as everybody knows, a bunch of tarantulas.
Oh, absolutely. I love seeing them too. I think I just saw, was it an Avic that you just posted?
Yeah, the one that I just posted was my little pink toe.
She's a cutie.
She just molted a couple days ago, so I was like, oh, let me just
Well, that's why she's so
love
bright.
her.
She looks beautiful.
Yeah, and then
Yes.
I splurged yesterday picking up feeders, and there was a pokey. And this
I
is why
love them.
I can't go shopping alone. I thought that the price tag said $10. Meg, it said 100.
No.
It rang up
They should
on the
have wrote
little
it
tag.
better. Oh
I was like, it's
no.
$10? What a steal. And then
I
I
would have
was
been like,
like,
this is a great bargain.
that's why I was like, wait, that's why that price was that much. I thought it was just my feeders. Oh well, can't turn back now.
That's one of those moments where you're like, it followed me home. I couldn't do anything
Yeah.
about it, you know?
So far, I'm really excited about him, but I'm also slightly like, I'm doing my research because it's a pokey. I got my
Yeah.
OBT, doing my research there too. I never see him. I see his beautiful webbing though every once in a while.
Oh, that webbing is stunning. But every time you walk by, it's like, what did I bought you for what? Like, I feel like I just
I,
bought, like, webs.
yeah, and that's what happened is somebody was trying to talk me out of getting an OBT. They were like, "You're never gonna see it anyways," and I was like, "Me being me, I like a challenge. So if you tell me
Like
don't
that.
do it, I'm like, right, exactly. That's
Right,
what
right,
happened. Was
right.
like, oh, I'm
Like,
gonna get the
I'm
OBT
gonna do it now.
now.
Yes. That's a huge problem just like in my general life when it comes to animals is that someone will be like,
Yeah,
this is really challenging, like this is a really spicy species, and I'm like, I got this,
and I think
knowing I
yeah,
probably don't.
and that's kind of what happened here with my short tails, and then my little boas, or my one boa, I should say. I have she was sold to me as a Central American, and then doing more research, and then my friend down in Mexico, she's like, she looks like one of our Mexican boas. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Temperament,
Interesting.
all of that. So I that story was goofy because she was in the bottom of the wreck, forgotten about. Nobody was really hanging out with her. So I was like,
Aw.
I'm a handler. I'm gonna hang out, and she was such a dream at the store. Took her
Aw.
home, or I should say, at least before she came to me, before she came home to me, the done deal was, I don't know. I was messing around with her, and I kissed her in the face, and I knew I shouldn't have because I didn't know her that well. But I kissed her in the face, and I got
Yeah.
bit in the face. I got what I deserved, but I was also kind of like, it's a done deal for me. I like this snake. She's gonna give me a challenge. I love it.
Right, right, I love that. I'm like, all right, let's do this. You got a little fire in you.
And that, yeah, and I finally like the couple of, I want to say a good year. She made me nervous. She's the one snake in my house that I'm not gonna lie, I get a little nervous sometimes with. Um,
Really.
but now she's super tame. Now I can go into her enclosure and grab her. Taking a couple bites from her, but it had to be done.
Right, you do what you got to do. I have heard, so we had, I very briefly was working just to kind of help out at one of my local reptile stores, and they
Yeah.
had a beautiful reticulated python, but I found that his attitude was so different from any other like python species I'd worked with. And I
Yeah,
heard from a couple different like keepers, yeah, that's like normal among that species. Is that true? Do you find that to be the case, or are they usually pretty chill?
that they're kind of defensive.
Yeah.
Um, with the one that I particularly worked with, no. But that's also because she was a really bad, she was a special case. So she had third degree burns on her body. She was, 6 pounds when she should have been like 165. And she had really bad upper respiratory issues. So she had to be worked with constantly and medicated. So I will say I think her temperament helps her there, because she was constantly having to be handled. As
Right.
far
She kind
as
of got used to it.
any other reticulated python, um, there was another one. There was a sun glow. I want to say it was a sun glow. It was like lavender and yellow, really beautiful. She was another one, pretty chill. Um, and then we had one that was named Judy. Judy was very food motivated. Judge
I
Judy
love
was her
that.
name. Judge Judy was her
Judge
name.
Judy, that's great.
Um, and everybody, all the volunteers, everybody were, I will say, they were very uncomfortable with her because she was very food motivated. Same with the Burmese pythons. They're another species that is very food motivated. So usually we would take the hook, tap them on the head, let them know like, hey, we're doing a clean out, or like chill out for a second. It's not food time. If it is, back up a little
Right.
bit.
Like,
But I
calm
will
down, it's
say,
okay.
I think a lot of the berms and the retics very food motivated.
Okay.
So I don't want to say that all of them are defensive. I will say that they are very food motivated.
That's what
Same
I'd
with the
always wondered
short-tails
about.
here.
That was my other thing about short tails is a little bit
Yeah.
earlier towards the beginning is you had said blood pythons, but it kind of sounded like you were referring to them as short tails. Are they the same type of snake species
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
okay.
So you have short-tail pythons or blood pythons. Um Short-tail pythons are essentially the trifecta, I like to call it. You have your blood pythons, you have your Borneo pythons, and then you have your Sumatran pythons. So um, the short tail is like the umbrella term for those three species. All three of those species pretty much come from Malaysia, or I think it's the Borneo Islands, or Sumatra, by the Philippines, essentially.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, and so yeah, when I talk about short tails or like blood pythons, it's essentially the same thing. It's just short tails
Okay.
is very much a big umbrella term.
That
So,
makes sense because I think of when people talk about like New Caledonian geckos, that kind of
yeah,
includes
yeah.
cresties or gargoyles or
Lychees and
felicianus. Yeah,
gargoyles, yep,
exactly.
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
cool.
blood pythons are the ones from Malaysia, and they are probably the biggest out of the species. Um, I want to say females getting up to like 5.5 feet.
That's
Um,
decent size.
yeah. Same with Borneos, and then the little bit of the smaller species is the Sumatrans. Now those guys are the ones that you'll see that are like super dark, almost black. Um,
Okay, I've seen a few of those, I think, at
yeah,
shows. Yeah.
yeah, and as they
They're really
mature,
pretty.
they get even darker and darker, and they're one of those
Wow.
that like looks really badass when they're in blue.
Oh, I love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Oh man. I never knew that though, and especially like with the blood pythons, I actually had a friend, and it's funny you said that because it kind of clicked in my head. And at the
Yeah,
time, he had a blood python, and I fell in love with just the look of the snake, not just the
yeah,
color, but almost like the scale pattern on their head and the way it's shaped is so
Yeah,
prehistoric, you know?
you're
I don't know, they're
right.
unique.
Right? I like to like I think one of my friends, he does keep Gaboon vipers, and a lot of people also in the short tail community have been like they look like Gaboon vipers, like but non-venomous. They
Right.
just have a really interesting look to them, you
Right.
know.
It's that uniqueness that you're seeing that
And they
like you
got
just don't
big
see in
old
other
juicy
snakes.
juicy bodies and booties.
Which I love that about all the constrictor species, or like most of them, they're thick. I
Yeah.
love that. Yes.
So
So, I
yeah, so
mean,
the
go ahead, you're good.
oh, I was gonna say the difference between Ma is yes, she's still a short tail, but what I didn't know was and talking to a couple of my friends and mentors, one of them being Richard Crowley.
Okay,
He
yeah.
is one of the, I want to say founders, but he worked very much a lot with them when they first came in imported back in the early 2000s when these guys were actually known to be very spicy and defensive due to the way that they came to us, shipping
Right.
shipping containers hot, loaded on a boat for how long, um,
Well,
wild
from their
caught.
environment too.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Um, so talking to him, I was like, what do you think she is? What morph is she? Like, oh, because I was told that she was sold to me as a bank of blood. And everybody's like, that's not a bank of blood python. Um, So he was looking at my
Oh
pictures and
no.
he's like, that's a hybrid. You have a hybrid. Now, the thing with the blood python or the short tail community is you want pure bloodline. You don't want to mix genes, like you don't want to do a blood python with a Borneo with a Sumatran, etc. And I think um I want to say she looks more Borneo. She could be Borneo blood, so I won't breed her. There are people that do breed hybrids, and that's fine by me. Do you, boo? But I won't be participating
Right,
as much
right,
as I would,
exactly.
as much as I would love something from her. I want to go about it the right way. So
Right. Absolutely. And the best safety for the snake for you for genetics, like it's just
exactly, and
better
I
all the
I
way
don't know
around.
her lineage really. She came to me from God knows where.
Right. And that honestly, it's very similar to my ball python. Venom is his name because when I first brought him home, he was actually a rescue.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess someone their son had bought him and he wasn't supposed to. Long story
Oh no.
short, I end up with this ball python, right? Because I feel bad. And he was already about 4 feet long, right? And so I know
Oh
they max
wow.
out at about 4 feet. This
Yeah.
guy's pushing like 5 feet now. He's a
Yeah,
big
some of them,
boy.
yeah.
But I had asked someone in the store about his morph. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, he's just a classic. Well, then I do more research and I'm like, what's the difference between a classic and a chocolate, right? And I guess the chocolate has more of that dark color to it. Apparently, this little dude is a chocolate. And I didn't know. But that's so common, like among any kind of pythons or boas, is they always get mislabeled, whether it's morph or the
Mm-hmm.
sex or whatever.
Right. And that's why I say now that I've learned so much from getting things from that particular store, just go and find a good breeder that you can trust. Like, sure, I like saving animals as much as the next girl,
Right.
But I
Absolutely.
also but I also want to go about it the right way from now on. So
Right.
I'll
And
go
I
from
think that was the
somebody that
big thing
actually
too.
has a good lineage. Yeah.
Absolutely. I want to know the background. I want to know,
Who are the
perfect. Like
parents
you
are. I
said, the
want to see
lineage.
the
Yeah.
temperaments.
100%. That's going to tell you so much. And then, so
Yeah.
like, the question too is I feel like I even have to upgrade this guy's tank size, right? So I'm curious, just like with snakes that get significantly bigger, how big of a
hmm
tank do you have to keep them in? Because this one's massive. I can only imagine, like, are they comfortable in smaller ones or do they like a lot of space?
That's actually a really good question. So I actually had my ball python in what my short tail is in now, which is a 4x2x1. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
not tall, but it's stretched out. And he was doing good there. And then all of a sudden he decided, I want to be a boreal. So I was like,
Yep.
okay. And Ma really doesn't need that much space. Short tails are very like low activity snakes. Basic pet boulder. That's your pet rock. She ain't doing nothing. Um,
Really?
yeah, they don't really move very often. So I downgraded her and upgraded him. So he's in her old 4x2x2, and he's doing fine. He could probably live in that all of his life.
Yeah.
You know, ball pythons 4x2x2 is like you'll hear that's
All the
probably the
time.
best. Yeah, yeah. I've heard 40 gallons you could do too, like basic, but a lot of people want you to do a 4x2x2. With this species though, short tails in particular, they like that comfiness that I don't want to say like if I put her in like a 20-gallon, that's going to be comfortable, but
But
there
they
are a
like
lot of
that security.
exactly. And there's a lot of keepers that have the short tails that do like the rack system for that particular reason, you
Okay.
know. And at
I
first I
have
was
always
very much like,
wondered.
yeah, at first I used to be one of those people that be like, I would never keep my animals in a rack. I'm sorry, guys, you could call me out. I would never keep my animals in a rack. Where's the
Call me
enrichment?
out too, because I used to think the same exact thing all the time. I'd be judging from TikTok, I'm like, this is disgusting.
I know.
I have
But then
since changed my ways.
but then I realized when it's animals like this, or there's certain personalities like my Mexican boa that I was mentioning, she was even I feel like more feistier when I put her in actual enclosure than I would have just kept her in the rack where she was at the store. Um, so I think it's definitely a sense of security for some of them. Now, I still have to upgrade this girl. I'm not keeping her in a 4x2x1. I think I'm going to stretch her out a little bit to like at least a 6x2.
Okay.
That way she can fully comfortably move and
She'll
not
have
be
like a
all
full
cooped up.
extension and stretch out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Where are you going, ma'am?
She is very explorative.
She is one of those that when she's out, she loves being out.
That's mine. He'll find like the
And a
smallest
lot of
cracks and get in there. I'm like,
I
stop
know.
doing this.
And she's one where I think I spoiled her when she was younger. I always carried her around my neck or around my shoulders.
She
So
knows now.
this species is terrestrial and she likes to be a boreal. She likes to be up in the air. She
I
likes
was
to be
gonna
carried.
ask you
She can
about that.
I can free hands it. Um we do a little trick sometimes where she can like go around my waist and I can be hands free. Now, a
Get
lot of people might be
out.
like, you need to support her. You need to support her weight. Short tails like to be supported. This girl's fine. She's
I
her
think,
own
I
woman.
feel like when it comes to any kind of constrictor, really, because even rat snakes are constrictors, it's like
Exactly, yeah.
their muscle mass is good. Like they were made to
Mm-hmm.
hold themselves. You'll see those videos of them climbing the trees. Like
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
good.
And
They're fine.
I know if she could figure out how to climb a tree, she definitely would.
Oh, 100%. Right up to the top.
Oh
So
God.
how is their like housing conditions and requirements? Are they I know you said like Malaysia was a location. Are
Yeah.
they tropical more so? Do they like a high humidity?
Give me just a second here.
Oh,
All
you're
right, you're
good. Take
going
your time.
away.
I'm
Shenanigans.
enjoying this.
Okay. So there you go, girl. Um, short tails in the location where they're at in like Malaysia, I think Borneo, just that entire essential couple of islands, the temperatures don't get normal or above really like 83.
Oh, okay.
And isn't that nice? And then the
I know, right?
humidity, the humidity I usually do around 60 to 80%.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people think because it's a python, we have to keep them like ball pythons at 90 degrees. That's how you get a pissed off short tail. I'm telling you right now. Do you like being bit? I sure don't. Um, sorry, I had to throw that little sass out there.
I appreciate the sass though so much because it's true.
Um, uh, okay, Chris. Um, but yeah, the temperatures, like I do not keep Ma over. I think the highest I've ever had her, and I was kind of watching her attitude. She really starts to get kind of not feisty, but uncomfortable. Um, Around like anything above 83. Low temperatures can be from like 76, 78 usually. And my house, I know everybody's gonna be like, ah, my house on a constant is 80.
Girl,
I
that's hot.
am, I know I'm a reptile myself. So I'm starting to think I might be anemic because I'm just always cold all the time. But yeah, 80 is my regular temperature. That's my regular ambient. So there are times where like I unplug their heater. They're fine. Um, Humidity wise, there are people that will tell you use craft paper, use newspaper, use soil. I say do you boo on that again. Everybody's to each their own. I find I like to do a little bit of enrichment, like with my snakes, and I noticed that she likes to dig when I do give her enough soil to.
Oh, so she's a
So
burrower.
yeah, she's done it before. When I first had her, um, learning, I didn't know it right away, but learning, and I took her home. I kept her in a glass aquarium, like a 120 gallon. I know, shame on me, smack me on the hand. Um, but I gave her a lot of soil and she ended up making a nice little hole for herself. It was pretty interesting, a nice little tunnel.
Huh.
At times where like I've had, I think at one point unfortunately did have a mite outbreak, so I had to essentially quarantine everybody, and I used like puppy pads as like a barrier, I guess, or to put at the bottom of their enclosure. And she hates paper. She hates the freaking. She's been a little spoiled.
She didn't like the feel of it. What is your favorite substrate? Do you use like a regular soil or like
So
do you
I
like the
make my
coconut bar
we
or chips?
yeah, we had made our own soil in the past. Or if you go to like Lowe's, probably by you because you're in Florida, right?
Mm.
Lowe's, get your basic organic, no pesticide soil. With you can go on like Amazon, get some sphagnum moss, get some cocoa fiber. You could do charcoal too to help. Um, and I find it's slightly cheaper or around the same price, but you can make tons of it. Um, Same thing with like leaf litter. Go outside, grab some leaves, bake it, freeze it. There's your leaf litter. You don't have to spend a lots of money on these name brands.
I
Um,
think that's a really good point. Actually, I'm glad you bring that up because
yeah,
especially when it comes to these large species, you need like really large sticks or things if they want to climb or
exactly,
enrichment.
and that's where
And
I get a lot of my stuff.
go outside, throw it in the oven at I think it's like I cook it at 250 maybe
Mhm,
280 for
mhm.
an out
Yeah,
4 hours.
and
How long?
yeah,
Hour?
like an hour or more. Yeah, just
It's
to
like
like
two
kind of
hours or
kill off.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, anything. Definitely, I do that. I did try out Reptichip, and that's what we're on right now. I think it's a little bit too wet
Yeah.
for this particular species, but for anything more tropical, like um your ball python. If you wanted to do Reptichip, that would be cool.
That's what I use
Just
usually is the Reptichip, and then I mix it with like a little bit of soil. But I try to keep
yeah.
the soil not so much, just because he is special. And when he eats his food, he tends to think that like maybe that substrate might be food too. And I'm like, we're not doing this.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of ball pythons where they're like, "Oh no, my ball python, he ate the Reptichip. You got to get it out of his
Yes,
mouth."
yes, and
Jesus.
he hates it.
Oh God. I've also heard some snakes at times. And now I don't know if this was true, but there was a story at one of the reptile stores that I was working at where somebody's snake was allergic to Reptichip or like cocoa fiber or
Interesting,
something like that. I don't know if that
huh?
was true or not. But I was just like, I mean, I guess anything could happen.
I always, it's always weird because there's so little research done on like certain topics like that, the little things, like can they have allergic reactions to certain things?
Yeah, yeah,
And it's like I feel almost if we can, if cats can, and I know they're completely different animals, but it would make sense for reptiles to also have some kind of reaction, I would think
yeah,
so.
yeah,
Or it could be
for
like,
sure.
just an unfortunate situation of something's wrong with his
Because I think they can even
skin.
have like reactions to like stuff that's on our skin. Like ladies, if we wear
I've heard
perfume or a
that
lotion on us,
lotions,
like
perfume, yeah, it messes with
that,
them.
right. So yeah, I keep my Brazilian rainbow pretty much everybody else except my hoggy. She gets like a desert dry mix thing from Josh's frog. Because I can't find it anywhere. Where am I gonna go?
I love
And
Josh's frogs for that reason, though. Like, he's got
they
everything.
have the nice desert species substrate, so that's why I picked that one out. But everybody else is like on a soil, and then the short tails who I want to eventually move off is Reptichip. Actually, no, Horace is on Reptichip. So far, so good.
He's been all right.
Yeah, I'm looking him up right now. My lights are off because we're on timers, but
That's smart too. That's a huge thing. Is like with their day-night cycle and the UVB and all that. Do you
yeah,
use UVB on them?
a couple, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I think lighting wise in here, I have some goofy LED strips. Now, these guys don't need lighting. It's really for my aesthetic pleasure. Because I have Ma with lights because I like to look at her, and then I have my Borneo who I'll take out. Fair warning, he ate yesterday, so he got a little lump.
He got a little lump.
He got a little lump.
He's a
I
fed boy.
a little bit, yeah. Come here, you. I'm dropping all the substrate. Oh my god, you're taking everything out. Let go. Okay. And this is Chai. He's my Borneo.
Oh, wow. He is beautiful.
So he's a super latte.
Wow, he's gorgeous.
Both of his parents were the latte morphs for the Borneos. So then it essentially made him a super.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you find that so the bigger snakes compare because you also have smaller snakes like the hognose, correct? And then you said a corn snake or a bird
Yeah.
snake.
I have a corn snake. Your basic
Okay,
old amelanistic orange type.
I love it.
I named her Courtney Love.
That's perfect.
And then I have there's like the reason why I named her Courtney Love was because I think there was like I wanted to take her home, but I was like I want to name some of my snakes after female musicians. So I had Nina Simone or Nina Bean, or
Nina
Bean,
Bean.
what we call her. That's my Mexican boa that you guys see sometimes. And then this one is Courtney Love because I bought it. I bought a skull decoration and it had like I don't know, like Oh my God, this might be vulgar. I have dark humor. I apologize, everybody.
So do
There
I. You're
was
good.
a there was a blown out part in the skull. There was a hole in the skull. And I was like, it's Kurt. And I put it in there and I named her Courtney. I'm sorry, guys. It worked. I wanted a female
It
musician
worked.
at the
I
time. I was
appreciate it. I think it's hilarious.
at the time I was like, I've been really listening to Hole recently. I love it. It goes with the flow.
That's amazing. I love that though. The dark humor along with it, like that's just, chef's kiss. Especially considering it's a corn snake, I think that makes it even better.
Yeah. Yeah. She's definitely a goofball. Um, she actually, okay, a lot of people might be like, you're overfeeding her, but like I have tried it multiple times with like colubrids. You kind of want to fill up their long tube rather than make them thick. So people will feed, 2 or 3 mice. I've tried 2 or 3 mice on her, and like anytime she's always refused a mouse, but she will never refuse a a a rat that big. So
That is my
she's got a
rat snake.
she's got a thick body. She's got a thick like bubble when she's eating.
She juicy. Um with the
She's
small
dirty though.
snakes.
She's one of my dirtiest.
Oh,
How's your
does
rat
she
snake?
burrow a lot?
No, well, no, she burrows a lot, but she's always crapping.
Oh, she's literally like
She's
nasty.
always yeah, she's nasty.
Okay, no, that is
There's a
definitely my
competition
rat snake.
between her and then my northern blue tongue skink. They're
Oh
both
my gosh.
pretty nasty.
That's lizards though, I swear. Like all my lizards and my geckos, actually my geckos ironically are really clean, but
That's what
like
mine too.
right,
I don't have Pangea all over the glass.
ever. I don't know. I'm like, okay, you guys are great, but the lizards forget it. And the rat snake forget it. It's just it'll be on the sides and on the wall. And with the snake, I'm like, how did you manage? My bro, like what have you done? But I've always found him like I like holding my rat snake. I really do. But he
Yeah,
hates it. And he is constantly moving and squirming. I've always felt like the bigger snakes, whether it was, a blood python or the ball python or a boa constrictor, they're so much easier to manage because of
yeah,
that size.
right.
I think a lot of people are like, "Oh no, like you can't hold them. They're too heavy. Like how are you holding up a snake that big?" I don't feel like they're not as heavy as they look, you know?
Right, right. Like I know there's a picture of me holding that retic that I was telling you about earlier somewhere on my
Yeah.
Instagram, and everybody's like, she's got to be like 200 pounds. I'm like, no, she just hit probably in the 90s, maybe just below the triple digits.
Right. She's not there yet cuz they get long and then
Yeah,
they start bulking up.
yeah. But she
Yeah.
has come a long way. And then they get big, and that's one of the other things that I always tell people that want to get into large snakes because you go to these expos and there's like the little baby retics for 250 or the
Everyone loves a baby.
BCCs for like 150, and I'm like, you know how big
Yup.
that's going to be, right? And a lot of the people getting into it have no idea what they're getting themselves into until
They don't know the size or even the lifespan of them.
that's another one too is people get them or like kids will get them and not realize, oh, I can't bring this into my college dorm. Oh, I'm going to
Right.
pawn this off on mom or dad. No.
Exactly. Yes. And I'm always telling people because people they really like ball pythons and even though I have one, they're
Yeah,
oversaturated. They're way oversaturated, but they always want to get their kids ball pythons. And to each their own. If you want to get your kid a reptile, I think it's great because they want to learn and
right.
love that animal. But make sure that you as a parent are also 100% okay with taking care of it because you might have to,
Exactly.
you know?
Exactly.
That
I
kid
say
might turn
ball
15.
pythons or sand boas. That's usually what I would tell
Sand
people.
boas.
I would
Yeah.
talk to people about, because like a lot of parents were like, that looks crazy, but like I show them a sand boa and I'm like, this looks like the Alaskan bullworm off that SpongeBob episode. Like, how could you be terrified? It looks like a sock puppet. Now every time you watch that episode, you're gonna think of a sand boa.
I am though every single time.
I'm hearing it in
Oh
my
man.
head now.
Oh, it sounded great. Came off beautifully. Rolled off the tongue.
No, but like half the time I'm like, you're never really gonna see it anyways. Like it's pretty basic. And it
It's not
eats
something
mice.
that's
And
over
and
the
it only
top.
and those guys, and I tell my big winner is they only get like a foot, the size of a ruler. And
Right.
that
They're
usually like
small.
usually parents then are like, all right, we'll do research when we get home.
Right, right. They'll be like, we'll go home and we'll think about it, you know?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
always that we'll think about it. But those are factors to take into consideration because like even
Yeah.
I mean, even for me, like with some snakes, even though I'm not inherently scared of them per se, it's intimidating to stick your hand, no matter how long you've been doing it. It is intimidating to stick your hand into an enclosure and have to pull
Oh
this
yeah.
big boy out, you know, and be like, hey, guess
Oh
what? You're
yeah.
coming out of your home now. And they're just sitting there.
Yeah. I know
What are you doing?
when we worked with berms, or like my one a previous friend of mine, she her first snake, that this is gonna be wild. Her first snake was a emerald tree boa. That was her first snake.
Whoa. Wow.
Um
Jumping right on in,
so
huh? No.
right. Um and then she was like, oh, she's telling me, oh yeah, they have like the largest fangs of any non-venomous species. And I was like, I'm not getting nerve damage. You can pull him out. But like as soon as he was out, he was like the sweetest thing. He did act like a ball python. Like there's pictures of me in my gallery somewhere of him on my head or around my neck. They're
It's like a
pretty
total
chill.
puppy dog.
Yeah, but like I totally agree. Like I'm not gonna reach in there. That's not my snake. I don't know him, and I'm still kind of
Right.
sketched out because it has the the largest non-venomous.
Right. And it's like that's the thing too is even though a snake is not venomous, if it's strong enough or it has like, fangs potentially, they can still do damage. Like you said, like nerve damage. Or I've
Oh
seen
yeah,
people where like they, go to handle a retic and they're by themselves. And I'm not
yeah.
gonna say anything because I would probably be one of those people. But
Yeah,
um,
I have been one of
you
those
know,
people too.
I would totally do it, but I also know that it's a dangerous thing to do if that snake ends up being, maybe in a mood or he's hungry or whatever it may
Yeah.
be.
And that's
It's
what I tell
it's
people too. In accidents like that, where like it's one person holding the
right,
snake or whatever. It wasn't like the snake was trying to eat you or size you up. That's not,
right. No,
no, we weren't trying to, they wasn't trying to do that. And that's the biggest misconception that everybody is always like, it's trying to eat you. I see people snuggling their boas and they get eaten. I'm like, what? Were you watching Fox News? Stop.
that right, and it's always some source like that, and I'm sitting here going, "This is not how they work. They literally have sensors that will detect the size of their food. Like they're
Or like people are
smart."
like, yeah, or like people are like, aren't you worried about your cat or your dog? I'm like, I can tell you right now, my snakes half the time don't even want to take their food. Like
Right. No,
that
I can
cat's
tell you.
gonna do more damage.
I was gonna say, if my snake managed to get out, I would be more scared for that snake than I would for my cats, because I know that they could they crush him. My gosh, they're
Oh yeah,
crazy. They destroy
yeah.
me on a daily basis. No,
And I do feed. Uh, they're not alive. Everybody, they're not alive. I don't feed
you do
live.
frozen thawed.
Yeah, or like the pet store that I go to that might gas them for me.
Right.
If I'm like in a hurry and I'm like, dude, I want to thaw this out right now, they'll do that for me.
That's mine'll do
Uh,
that. It's great. It really
yeah,
helps sometimes because like when they're being picky or something, I'm like, just give me a fresh one. They'll take it down.
right, right. I know, like my ball python. I don't know if yours went through brumation at one point, but yeah, like during the winter time, Horace up there was like, no, I'm not taking anything. Um,
Oh yeah,
and
wouldn't
then
eat for
and then
months.
yeah, and finally the one thing I know that he will eat is those African soft furs. So
They
I gave
love
him one of
those.
those. I gave him one of those, and I do get nervous because it's like there are some snakes where once you give them an African soft fur, there's no turning back.
That's all they're gonna ever eat.
Luckily, luckily, the next feeding after that, I fed him like a fresh um unalived uh rat, and he went for it. So thank God. Now we're
Good
back
thing
on
that
track.
worked. Right. Do you are short tails so that's I know that's like a typical ball python thing is they'll go on that kind of
The
they call it food
strike.
strike, but yeah.
Dude, if my
Um
short tails go on a food strike, there's something wrong.
okay, I was gonna say
Seriously. There is something wrong. That is a very food motivated snake. And at one point, Ma here was my garbage disposal, and I cut back because I was like, no, she's gonna be obese.
she's
That
gonna get big.
short tails are
Yeah.
prone to obesity. Just because your snake is huge doesn't mean that it's healthy or it looks great. Like, no, you're
Right.
shortening its lifespan. Um, so, and I learned from Brittany, learned this the one day off of my podcast. The one day I was talking to Brittany from Stronghold, and she was like, I feed my adults like medium rats, and that lasts them for like a good month or two for breeding season. And I was like, oh my God, that means I'm feeding too much because at one point I was feeding Ma like jumbo rats every three
Oh
weeks
wow. The
or like
big
bi-weekly.
ones.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yup.
at one point I gave her a guinea pig, and she
She's
had
probably
it the
very happy
first
about
time.
that.
No, actually, okay, I was a
No?
little nervous. I gave her the first one that she took. I was a little nervous because I was like, oh my God, she looks like she's already thick, but with that guinea pig, she looks thick. Um,
Wow.
and then the second time I offered her a guinea pig, she didn't like it. She didn't want it. And then I read more
Okay.
into like the protein factor of it. It's not it's fatty, very gross. Like there's not very much protein to it.
High fat content.
Hmm. And then
Okay.
with a snake that doesn't very move very often, you don't need that much food. So
Right. You
like
want more protein and calcium for them, right?
yeah, yeah. So like I can do like I think I've just fed her yesterday, and I did do a large because it was coming up to like 2 months, a month and a half, 2 months. She still looks great. Um, but yeah, that was a large. He's a large. That was a large last time. Okay. But yeah, I mean, they can do anything from medium. It, I'm not starving them.
Right. And that's the thing with snakes. It can be hard, though, I think, with feeding, especially because they are such big snakes.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people want to do, you know.
Sorry, I had to cough and I had a tickle in
No,
my
you're
throat.
okay. Um, I think a lot of people think just because it's a large snake, it means to eat big food, big
Right.
amount of food,
And that's
and
not
it's quite the
necessarily the
opposite.
case.
Yeah, yeah. It's the
I
same. I like
actually,
to. Ew. It's the same. I like to think of like with people.
right.
Um, you got the people that are very active with their bodies and like work out or are constantly moving, and they eat a lot of meals within the day. At least people that are very health conscious. You'll see them eat 5, 6 meals within the day.
Right.
Um, and then you got people that are a little bit bigger, lower, slower metabolism, that like if they are eating 5, 6, 7 meals a day,
They're not burning it off, it's being stored as fat.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So that's kind
I
of a
mean
way
that,
that I
yeah, it's just
explain it.
science.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
And that's kind of, the different, I think I was feeding mice to my rat snake for quite some time, right? And I
Yeah.
would just gradually get him up. He will not take anything now except for fuzzy rats.
Oh my God. So now he's used to like the
Honestly.
mice size.
Mm-hmm. And he won't take
That's
anything but
okay.
fuzzy rats.
As
So
long as
I'll
you
feed
can
him like
fill
one,
up his,
two,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And he's good to go. And then I won't, I'll let him digest. He does his thing. Ball
yeah.
python, though, people, it's so funny because they'll ask me, they're like, oh my God, you have a python. Like, what do you feed it? Rabbits? And I'm like,
For a ball python?
right. I'm like, I feed it rats, like large rats at that, and I only
Yeah,
feed him like maybe twice a month because he
yeah,
digests slow.
yeah,
But the questions you get asked, like even with short tails or boas, they'll ask like, "Oh, you
yeah.
feed them like, the biggest mammal
Pigs?
out there?" Like, no, they can't eat
I've
that.
got
Like
asked,
the
yo, I've
anacondas
got asked,
die.
I got asked if I fed her pigs.
That
And
was a real question. Are you serious?
yeah, I did actually take one home at one point because there was one that one of the retics didn't want to eat. Um, so I tried it and I was like, this isn't gonna work. This is way too big. If she can like barely put down a guinea pig, she can't go with an actual
She won't
pig.
go
So I took
full
it.
on pig.
Yeah, I took it back and I was like, yeah, she's fine on the rats.
Right, she'll stick with that. She'll be good.
I've tried quails with her. Um, she
I've
looks at
heard of
me right
quail
after.
eggs too.
Not that one.
No, not quail eggs for her, just in
Oh yeah,
general.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We did
She
have
would
an
have to
egg
eat like a
eater.
bird.
Yeah, yeah, but she'll still look. I'll hand her the quail, and then right after she's like, where's the rest of the meal? This is it.
She wants
Like,
more. She needs second breakfast.
yeah, exactly. No, but I like there are egg eating snakes too. So like your quail eggs, or like even for your cat or dog, you can definitely do quail eggs. It's good for
I
them.
did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
I had heard of certain snake species eating eggs, but not cats and dogs. But that makes sense. I mean, if they eat regular eggs for protein.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I'm trying to think what type of. I think it was just like a regular egg eating snake, but she made like the coolest snake ever. Like you thought that she was hissing like a rattlesnake, but that was just her scales rubbing together. So it would
Oh,
sound like psst. We named her Maraca.
I love that name. I know the snake you're talking about. I can
You
see
know
the
what I'm talking
picture of
about?
it,
Okay.
but I don't know the name right now. It's slipping my mind. It's gonna bother me. I'm gonna have to look it up later. But I know the snake you're talking about. I can see it in my head, and it sounds so cool. I'm like, yo, you sound like a little instrument, dude. Like, this is awesome.
Ugh.
So my other thing
No.
too is I obviously have my ball python. If I wanted to go in and I wanted to get like really a short tail specifically, because I know that that's really what you focus on. What
Hmm.
would you tell me? Like, what would you tell me as a newbie? Like, best advice on keeping short tails?
Um, well,
I love asking people that because it makes
I
them
know.
think. And I
I
just stare
know.
at them and I'm like, oh, I've got him. No, kidding.
Oh God.
I know.
So
It's like, what's your favorite song?
I know. I don't want to say short tails are like nasty defensive snakes, but they have a little bit more personality. So
Okay.
they do a lot of they can be talkers or like because they're a bigger species, it sounds like they're hissing, but they're just like
There's something
that.
going on to make that noise.
Yeah, it's a huff rather than a hiss, and I personally had to learn that myself with Ma. Um, and I was a little nervous because I was like, oh my God, is she hissing at me? Oh my God, and
Right. She's
So
just
I'm gonna
dramatically
say
sighing at you.
she's a big girl. Okay, when big people breathe, it's a lot of effort.
It's
So
true. Bless her heart.
I've heard it with the retics too. The retics or the berms I'll listen to, and it sounds like they're hissing, but it's just
That's
you
so
know they're
wild
big.
to me that they make those sounds though. Because they're
Yeah,
very off-putting when you first hear them. You're like, "Whoa, what is going on?"
yeah, yeah.
You know?
So I would say for the first thing, be aware that they're not going to be as docile as a ball python, but each personality is different. So be aware of that. If that's something that's going to freak you out, or if you're afraid of possibly being potentially bitten, maybe don't do it.
Right. Probably not the snake for you if you don't want to risk that chance.
Be aware that these snakes, they're not very active. So if you're really looking for something that you can be like, oh wow, look at that party trick for my guest to come over. We're gonna see him flying through the trees. No, he's gonna
Right,
be
right.
hiding same position that he was probably 3 weeks ago.
You won't see them.
So yeah, if you're looking for a pet rock that's can be slightly startled, sure, get a short tail. They can be up to know that they can be up to like I want to say 20 to 30 pounds. They're pretty
That's a decent
hefty,
size.
good size,
Yeah.
a good size baby. Um, but I think they really are a good joy to have, and I think they all have their own personalities. I think there's definitely an intelligence you can see behind their eyes, and that's what I really like. I like them. They're a little bit. I'm not bad mouthing my ball python people because I have a ball python, but there's
No, but there's a
definitely
difference between different snakes and different reptiles. Like I love my
right,
ball
right.
python, but you can admit there's nothing really going on up there with him. But I've seen it in, like the blood pythons. They're just they watch you, like
Yes,
they're very
yes,
observant. They're very aware of
yes,
like what's going on around them.
yes. If you're looking for a snake that will take food, get a blood python or a short tail of some sort of species.
I'm
And the
scared of
last
food
thing,
strikes.
yeah, dude, I should have went live yesterday. I posted on my story that I was gonna go live and do a live feeding. I'm sorry, I got tired. I didn't go and do it.
I
But
that's
oh my God, like I like pulled down the door for my feedings and she knew what was up. And that girl coiled. She jumped. She moved the whole rack.
no.
So like for a moment, yeah, I was like, oh shit.
I think that's something though that like I'm glad you
But
said that because like it's
it
a
brings
big
me pure
snake.
joy. It brings
Yes.
me pure joy though. I know
There's
for
a
a lot of people
thrill
they'd be
to
like, "Oh my
it.
God." Yeah, exactly. It's a thrill
Right.
scare for me, a thrill jump. Oh, there's
Exactly.
my little girl. Um,
So
I was
sweet.
gonna say my last very important thing. Obviously, do your research, know what you're getting yourself into before you just buy. I
Always.
I bought and then I did my research.
I've done that too. I think we've all done that at some point. I hate when people are judging
I'm
for that.
currently doing that. I'm currently doing that with my pokey. I
Right,
bought it and
exactly.
now I'm doing my research.
That's the great thing about the hobby though, is like you never stop learning. That's what's so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, but go to somebody that breeds these guys, knows, the temperaments, the parents, the lineage, um, rather than just some pet store that has a little bit of everything, or same thing at an expo, just because you see a really pretty red blood python that's 150, but guess what? It's probably on a table with a little bit of everything, you know.
Exactly.
go to somebody that specializes in that. So I say, shouting out some people, like Richard Crowley, or who's it? Who's it? Cold-Blooded Earth.
Oh yeah.
They're another good one. They're another good one. Um, Rob is creeping is coming out with some really good Borneos. He has done a lot of short tail breeding. So that
Nice.
um I don't know if Will or Phil from Wellington, if he's currently breeding any, because I know he keeps a lot of colubrids, but he has a couple short tails too. That could be another potential. Um, trying to think. I'm just trying to think of all my people that I'm like, but go
That's
to
smart though.
mainly
It's like
go to somebody that really specializes and know what you're talking about, and maybe they can even find you a particular. Maybe they have a particular short tail in mind for your specific preference. If you want
right.
something that's going to be really chill or really active or really bright colored red, or because they're all different
If you're looking for a
personalities.
certain like pattern or personality type, they're gonna know that the best. And I think like
Yeah,
you brought up a good point. Just because it's at a reptile show, like that doesn't mean really much of anything. You still have to
yeah.
talk to that breeder because there have been so many times where I will not name names, and thankfully I can't remember names, but there was an individual there was an individual selling scorpions at this last reptile show that we were at, and
Okay.
very very proud about, yeah, they're wild caught. And I'm like, it really set it in for me, and it hurt me for the animals, but it really set it in for me because these were not anything special. There's plenty of captive bred Asian forests, things like that.
Yeah.
um but yeah, just because it's at an expo does not mean that it's a reputable breeder. Like
No,
some of
there are
them are just
sketchy
pumping
ass
out
people out
numbers.
there. Exactly. There's
100%.
sketchy people. So I learned the hard way because I wanted a skink, and um there was a skink that I thought for some reason was like a northern blue tongue, but it was actually like a Peter's banded skink. And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And I was like, "Where are these guys from?" And the guy was like, "Oh, they're from Arizona." So, and when I think Peter banded skinks are actually from like Middle East.
And they
So
said
like,
Arizona.
hi.
They're pretty far off the map there.
Yeah. But unfortunately, I'm thinking one, it was a table that had a little bit of everything. That was my first experience, and I had to learn the hard way of why you don't do that. And then unfortunately she didn't make it because I think she was wild caught. And that's another downside of potentially buying from a table that has a little bit of everything, is you don't know what it has. I've had people buy from expos off of those similar tables, and it was like, I don't know, an Amazon tree boa, and it like
Oh, wow.
died within 2 days. So definitely,
Wow.
again, know what you're getting yourself into, or the people
100%.
that you're talking to, because again, like we were saying, there are people that are just in it punching out numbers.
Right.
And
They're in it for the money, not the
you can
animal.
totally tell who's in it for the animals, and who's in it for the money, because if you ask specific, like if I were to ask, you know there was like a blood python that I was like, ooh, that's a decent price, I'm considering it, even if it is on a sketchy table. But like, I asked him, I was like, hey, what's the lineage, what's the morph, what, give me the facts, bro. And
Right. Set me straight.
and they couldn't, like, they were like, oh, it's this price, um da 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 da. All they could do was really give me the price and tell me the type of snake it was. That was it. Um, and
Oh.
then if I were to, go down a couple aisles and go down to like Richard Crowley, or if I were to ever come across like Cold-Blooded Earth, they could probably have a full ass hour conversation with you about lineages, morphs, bloodlines, what to do, what not to do. Here's a good book to read. Reach out to this person. Um, a little bit more info.
Right. And that's the thing though, is like basically I feel like that's the biggest telltale sign if you have a reputable breeder or not that you're talking to. If you ask questions and they are just repeating the same answers, they probably don't know what they're talking about. But if
Yeah.
they have answers to every single question, you know they've put in that time and effort
Right, right.
for
And
sure.
I don't know. I base it off. Call me hippy dippy do. I like people's vibrations. I like people's
I do
energy. So if
too.
you're gonna
Yeah.
if you're gonna be selling to me and you kind of got an attitude, I don't want you
It
nasty
turns
ass to
me
me.
away. It turns me away with me. I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, you can stay
I
over
get
there. I'm
it.
gonna go over here.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing you said was
Also though,
lineage.
also another red flag. Maybe they're pushing you into the animal a little bit too much, when you're just
Right. There's a
asking
lot of
simple
pressure to
questions.
buy it for whatever. Like, oh, well, it'd make a great thing. It would fit in this. Oh, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker.
Like I
I'm a
know
sucker for that.
I know for the past expo, um there was a guy that sold big ass retics and they were beautiful. I will give him that. And maybe he was just joking around with me. Maybe we were being goofy. But like twice. I think it was a Saturday. He was like, "Oh, which one are you gonna walk away with? Which one are you gonna take?" I was like, "I don't have any room for
Oh
that. Like, I'm gonna have to
no.
have like a whole ass bedroom for that one." I was like, "I have a basement, but I'm not gonna keep it in the basement." And he's like, "You can keep it in the
Right.
basement." And then the next day, I went back again, and he was like, "So, which one are you taking? Which one are you taking?"
You're like, bro, we just spoke about this yesterday.
All
Nothing
in good
has
fun, but
nothing's
yeah.
changed in the past 24 hours. It's still the same decision. No. It is hard, I think, because there is this level of like you want to take it home, but you also know for me it's like that's a matter of space, you know? If I can't give them that space, I'm not going to throw them at somewhere they're not going to be
Excuse
comfortable.
me, my dog's screaming. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, I have an Aussie. He's being a
I love
shepherd.
them. I love them.
Um, seriously. One
He wants
moment.
attention.
Yeah, he does. What a jerk. Hi. Thank you. Good Lord. Oh, there he goes again. I swear, every time I close this door. Okay, I'm back. And I brought a friend because she wanted to come out. There's that little hog
Who do we have?
nose.
Oh, hi, honey.
This is Cholula.
Hi, Cholula. I
Now
like the
she's
names you
all
pick for your animals.
it's because her attitude. Okay, so she's never bitten, but she's always like,
She has a little
she's all
attitude
talk.
going
She's
on.
all talk. She's all talk.
You got big Bart, no bite.
Yeah, exactly. Look at
Oh,
you.
she's cute though. Look at her coming right for the camera.
You can
Is this
see?
your big moment? You're a
Wait,
star.
look. My favorite thing on her, besides her spicy little funky attitude, look at the belly scales
I
on
was
there.
looking at that. She's got some gorgeous scales down there.
We
Is
want
that
to
normal
look.
for
Yeah, at least for this
Wow.
particular hog nose.
They're
Yeah,
so defined. They're so funky.
I know.
They remind me of like a 70s rug, you know, the pattern. I don't know why, but that's the energy it's giving off to me,
Okay.
and I'm like here for it.
Like
I'm
a
here for
disco
it.
rug? Like a
Yes.
disco rug.
Yes.
Shovel nose. Yeah. You're so silly. She's an interesting
Mesmerized by
one
hog
because
nose.
I have to like put special juice on her food. Like frog juice. Because in the wild, hog noses really just eat like fish and frogs.
Did not know that.
Occasionally a rat. But yeah. So she needs special scent juice. I did feed her a tomato frog that didn't make it. And I was like, I wonder if she'll take it.
Will
She
she
ate
eat
it.
this?
She did. Left no
I
trace
didn't
of
know
it.
they ate frogs.
They eat frogs. And that's why I think they also smell a little bit muskier when they do musk, is because they eat frogs and fish and
That makes sense. So they emit that nasty kind of
yeah.
awful
Yeah.
smell to them.
Oh my God, I got a story for you. When I brought Ma home, um, my short tail, boy, oh boy, I'll never forget the first time she musked on me. Um,
No.
I used to say must in the
No.
house because it smelled for hours, bro, like dirty fish, to put it in a age
Ugh.
appropriate way.
How long did it last?
I talked to you like a couple hours.
Oh my gosh.
So I took her home. And
That's bad.
shame on me. I'm a better keeper now, but when I first got her, she was in blue, really bad blue. Um, and I think when I first got her, she had 2 layers of stuck shut in her eyelids.
Oof.
So, yeah, that was fun. So she really couldn't see. And I was like, "Come on, let's hang out." And at the time, my best friend was like out of like down in Florida or something like that. And so it was just me. And I was like, oh my God, she's like, she was striking at me. She was hissing, she must. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm
Oh
crying
no.
hysterical because I was afraid to be bit. And this is why I'm telling people that are new, learn from my mistake. If you were afraid potentially of getting bit, like if you're going to be a big old baby like I was, don't do it. Like I bought
They're
a
not snakes
hook.
for the faint of
I
heart.
I bought a hook particularly just for her because I was so scared.
Wow. She got at ya.
She gave me a fright for sure. Um,
Spooked.
yeah. I learned not to mess with her now. And like I said, and like I did the same thing that I did with my Mexican boa, and obviously I let her finish her shed, and then I took her out once weekly, and then it turned out, for like an hour, or as long as she would let me handle her. And then it started twice a week. And then after that, then I could take her out and feel her, touch her, that type of thing. So usually when I take out my short tails, or really any snake that I have, um, I'll like go over their back and kind of rub them before just picking them up or snatching them, just to
Right.
let
Giving
them
that
know,
heads up
like,
that you're there.
we're here. Hello, how are you? And
Absolutely.
and even then, like, she's not hissing, but she gets, like, when you touch her after she's been in there for a little bit, um, she'll do a little startled, like, when she recognizes somebody's there. You'll hear a psst, like she's, what's
Doing
happening? Who's
her
here?
little huffing thing, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes she just doesn't. And I think that's her way of communicating.
Oh, absolutely. Because
So
they have such
she's
limited
definitely
resources on that.
she's definitely a talker for sure. She'll be in my ear. If I have big ass gold hoop earrings, that's why I don't wear big ass ones anymore. She has
Gosh.
tried to
Ooh.
go through them. Um,
Ooh, man.
she'll like hiss in my ear.
Oh, that would hurt so bad.
Luckily, I have
Bless.
stretched ears, so
Oh, okay.
like if I have like a basic earring in, I can just be like, okay, quickly.
Right. Pull it out. You're fine.
Quick.
That's the benefit to stretched engaged ears, everyone, just so you know. They will never go out of style because they are practical.
Because at least she's just pulling my lobe down, whereas like if I didn't have them stretched, she's just ripping my entire ear back.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Like, oh my gosh, that would hurt so bad.
I never made it
Oh,
to that point.
bless.
Oh God. But yeah, I definitely think I found my soul snake, and I hope in the future to get more when the right time comes. So far, though, my new thing, if you guys haven't, I'm sure you've seen Meg, it's been the arachnids.
Yes,
I just
100%.
really, really, really love and adore these guys and watching them, especially grabbing them as like little slings and seeing them grow.
Phenomenal. It's so rewarding. Like it's
Yeah.
so rewarding when they're little and that like my I have a Mexican red Rapativagans and they're spicy, but I got her when she was like maybe the size of a little grain of sand. And now she's still so tiny, but compared to how she was, I'm like, oh, you grew so much and you're getting
I
cuddly now. Like,
know.
oh, little girl, go.
That's how I feel with my Gramastola rosea. So I
Yes.
got her as like a small little tick for like
Oh,
$80. And I guess that's on
that's
cheap end
good.
when I'm
Yeah.
looking at these guys because at one point I think at the store that I was looking at they were like 120 or like close to 200 at one point. And I was like,
I was
"Really?
just
Who's
say
paying
I've been looking for
$200 for
one.
this?"
I
I
can't
got one
find one
for
for less than
80.
120. Get it. Get it.
But I named her Tick because she was literally the size of a tick. And now she's like that big. And I'm like,
But
wow,
even
look
when
at
you
you. We
see
could
it, you're like,
see.
wow, you're so big, compared to where they were.
Yeah, I
Like, you
know.
big girl, go. That's amazing.
Now I'm a little disappointed because I did have a pumpkin patch sling, and those are super tiny to the point where, like, if I took a picture of her, I'd have to use my micro camera on my phone. I
Yeah,
lost
they're
her though.
tiny.
I lost her because the
Oh,
slightest
no.
manufacturing malfunction that happened on one of the tarantula cribs left like a small
No.
gap within the door. And I think this girl freaking bolted and got and left. She freaking took off her clothes and went streaking.
She's like, I'm out.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
I
have time for
obviously
this.
I was like, I guess I only paid $25 for her, but like I'm still like, dang man. I'm
It's
also
still one of
kind
those
of
things
irritated.
you're like, I'm disappointed.
And like literally that same week, I lost my, or I should say, my cat nudged the lid off of my Mexican red knee enclosure.
Oh, no.
So she was missing. And then I was super sad about that. But then the next day, I think I posted on my Instagram story. I'm like, guys, your prayers must have came in because I found her and I like split the camera around. She was above my closet door. Cause she's a big
Oh,
girl
my
now.
gosh.
And I was like, get that bitch back in there.
Anytime someone loses a tarantula or even a snake, I'm like, look up. Just trust me. Just look up. You'll find it
Yeah,
somewhere. Like, or look
I'm a
really
little
light.
sad. The only snake that I lost that didn't come back was my freaking. I had a really pretty corn snake, that I named Bisbee because I really want to move to Arizona. I have an obsession with Arizona,
I do too for some weird reason.
and like, I had the stupid like top locks that you put on like the snake enclosures, and I was like, he hasn't tried to escape. I don't see why he needs these locks on. And it was that night where I took the locks off. He was gone. And I
I'm
couldn't
gonna have to.
find him ever since.
I can
He's
put a figure
gone. I was
down
so
if.
heartbroken. So heartbroken.
No. They're escape artists though. Mine's gotten out
I
like
know.
twice. And the one time
Heavy
I
things, heavy objects on your
every
colubrins.
time pain in my butt. Oh
Even
my
freaking
goodness.
little hog-nosed Cholula over here has gotten out. The only way we were able to find her, you hear in the freaking corner.
She gave
That's
herself
the only
away.
way we were able to find her. Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, I wish they would make noise so that I could
I
find you. But no, they gotta
know.
be
I
silent.
know.
Oh my goodness.
Uh,
Well,
yeah.
I'm
So I
looking.
have.
What
I
were you
was gonna
saying?
say. I was gonna say I have a little bit of everything though. So
I love it though. Cause you like, I mean, it shows the appreciation that you have for literally all types of animals, and that's important. It's not just
Yeah.
snakes, it's not just spiders, it's not just lizards. I've met
It's a little
people and
bit
they'll be
of
like,
the tism. It's a little bit of the tism.
I got a little dash of that. But it's fine. I've managed.
I think it makes me cool. I think it makes me not basic, you know?
We're kind
And,
of cool.
and that's what
I've
I'm
had
saying. When
people
people
tell me,
come
they're like,
over,
you keep snakes? Like, oh my God, that's kind of crazy. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm obsessed.
but people also think that you're like, it's like a zoo, and you're
Oh,
just
yeah.
like free roaming your snakes and spiders. And
100%.
I'm like,
They're
dude,
like, you
no.
live in a museum zoo. I'm like, no, I don't. They all have enclosures. Like, you think I let my snake sleep with me? Like, I might, but, no.
Also, I'm very conscious because I have so many animals. I'm always like, my biggest fear is like, oh my God, people are gonna walk into my house and think it smells like a zoo. So I'm always constantly cleaning my
I'm
house.
constantly cleaning. It's vacuuming, it's wiping stuff down. And then I gotta be careful with my cleaners because I'm like, well, some of them could be toxic. So let's go, natural or like make our own or something.
I had to learn the hard way when I was a house cleaner. Don't mix Windex and bleach, please, people.
Oh, no.
Please, please
Oh,
don't.
no.
But that's what that lady liked. But
I
anyways,
kind of, I kind of gotta ask before we like depart on the podcast. We're hitting about an
yeah.
hour and a half here. And I've
Here's
loved it, but
bonus content. Here's
I
bonus
gotta, yeah, I
content.
was just saying, I gotta know this story because what she wanted this. This was like, did she request you to do this?
So the lady really liked, and I still clean for her. Um, she likes the smell of bleach. It's cleanly, it's clean. I get it. I like it
Okay.
too. But she also has Windex, which is an ammonia cleaner for her glass showers. So
Right.
that's what ended up happening was I was cleaning the shower with bleach, and then I was like wiping the glass of the glass shower with Windex. And of course these glass shower doors tend to like trap things.
Everything.
So I'm just like, why are my eyes burning? Oh, it's hard to breathe, my throat. And I'm like, I pull out my phone and I was like, wait, I don't think I'm supposed to mix this chemical with this chemical. So I was like, what am I not supposed to mix with bleach? And it was like ammonia products. And it like listed all of these things.
Windex. Oh, great! I used that.
Oh God. But yeah, I had a very dark humor moment too because um I part of my family has Jewish ancestry and is Jewish.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, everybody. Y'all can unfollow me. But I texted my mom and I was like, this Jewish girl just gassed herself with, with mustard gas, essentially, because that's what you're creating. Oh my God. My mom was like, oh my God, are you all right? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, the worst thing that happened was like a really bad sore throat. And luckily, that was like, I got out immediately
Yeah.
after that. But yes, please, everybody, just don't. You know what? Don't even use bleach.
Don't
There
use
are other
bleach.
there are
Don't do it.
other chemical there are other cleaning products that we can use besides bleach that do the same thing.
Magic erasers.
That too.
I don't know. I
Or
use them for
natural
everything.
there are good natural you can use other good
I think I
products.
just named the most chemically enhanced sponge I could have named.
Oh my God, people are freaking yeah, people were using magic erasers to whiten their teeth. They were like, oh, it's gonna like they were using that on their teeth at one point, and then it was like wiping off the enamel of their teeth. I'm like,
With
stop.
chemicals. I worry sometimes. I really
Oh
worry.
God.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yes. J- Meg, it's been so great talking to
I
you
love
today,
it.
though.
You're a blast. Oh my gosh. We're gonna definitely have to do this again. And I think we were talking
Absolutely.
about I think doing like a group podcast thing with you, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what my schedule is or what I'm thinking. I think this next coming weekend, I still have to confirm. I'm doing a podcast with some friends of mine about venomous snakes. Um,
Nice.
Probably this coming weekend. I wanna do it to set it off the warmer weather, the Cinco de Mayo feel. At least for us Midwesterners, because you're Floridian. You already have warm weather.
We have it
Today
all the
was my
time.
first 80-degree day, so I'm over here like, wahoo!
Bless. Bless. Meanwhile, I'm like, that sounds amazing. Oh my gosh. I walk outside and I'm like, I'm gonna cook in an oven for the next 2 hours. Like,
So then you can't move to Arizona because
oh, but I want to
Arizona
so
that
bad.
I know because Arizona they're always like, dude, our summertime you could cook a freaking steak on the sidewalk. It's that hot.
You know why I hate it though is the humidity down here.
Don't do the dad thing. It's
The
the
dad thing?
humidity. Yeah, that's the dad
It's the
thing. It's the
humidity.
humidity. You know what it really is. It's the humidity that'll get you. No, hot is hot.
You do sound like my dad when you say it like that.
You know what'll get you is the humidity. No.
You know it'll get you. Oh my gosh, I love it.
And then after the venomous podcast,
Yes.
I wanted to do probably something here very soon, maybe next week, possibly, depending on the girls' schedules. We wanted to do something about cockroaches and more invertebrate related things. So like your isopods and your cockroaches and the benefits of them. Because
Nice.
that's another species or another creature that gets looked down upon or is grossed out or and I very much
Right.
so want that's the whole point of my particular thing or podcast is pointing out the I don't want to say unloved, but the frowned upon, the
Right,
gross
yeah.
demeanors, those guys, and they're not cool. They're I think I coming from a person that used to be very grossed out by cockroaches, I still am. At least German roaches because those are nasty, bro.
They
And if you're
scrape like a
from where I
motherfucker.
am, if you're from where I am, I call them. It's funny because everybody's like, "Oh, you keep roaches?" I'm like, "Yeah, guys, it's not Rockford roaches." So Rockford's a town near me that, um, at one point when I was living in Rockford, we had roaches and they weren't the good kind. So
Oh
that's what I
no.
like to be like. No, guys, it's not the Rockford kind of
It's
roaches.
not
It's not the
Rockford
dirty.
roaches. It's not
No,
the
but there's
filthy
definitely
roaches. It's the
yeah,
clean ones.
exactly. I think they're so cool. There's so many variations, and they have, again, benefits to them. So I want to do that with Arachnid Cat and Liz, who I did see pop her head out here.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about the comments. Sorry, guys. We all see you. We all love you. We all hear you.
I'm gonna be honest, I can't see anything on my end. So I'm just gonna second everything that Ashley says right now.
How do I click on it? Because I'm on the other end of it. I'm not actually the host of the podcast. So, Um, okay, guys, sorry about the comments, but we see you, we hear you, we love you. Comment afterwards, we'll read it.
Promises.
And then I want to do something with, and I talked to Phil. We want to do something with Adam Shea. He has his little podcast that is, oh boy, my mind is blanking at the moment. So, but Adam Shea and Phil, I want to get on the podcast. And then I wanted to do the one that you were talking about. I don't know when, but I'm gonna hit you guys up when there's availability for everybody about what it's like dating in the reptile world.
Yes.
The
That's gonna be a
goods, the
huge one.
pros, how difficult it can be, and how difficult it can be just to date in everyday's world right now.
Right. Modern day in
And also,
2025.
yes. And then I know a lot of you guys when we were all talking earlier were like, "Oh, but I'm with somebody." And I'm like, "No, no, no. I'm single, but you guys, I'm a sucker for a good love story. I'm a hopeless romantic. Tell me how you guys met. How does it work for you guys? And is the reptile hobby like does it get challenging with your relationship at times? How do you know when somebody's going overboard with it? How do you guys talk to each other, communicate on that end? I wanted to do something like that.
I love
Nobody
it. I
really
think it's a
talks.
brilliant idea.
Nobody really talks about the dating world or like the relationships that are built from it
Right.
in the
Especially when
reptile
you're
community.
keeping like reptiles or venomous animals. It's that can be
Yeah,
a deterrent, you know?
yeah, because there are and like, what do you do if somebody is afraid of snakes but really likes you as a person, and oh, things are getting serious and we're gonna move into with each other. Like, how do you like set boundaries there? So like,
And
that's what I
snakes.
really want to
Right, right,
talk
right.
to.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yes. So everybody, be on the lookout.
Definitely. Because that's gonna be a good episode. You don't want
Yes.
to miss that one.
And it's gonna be like with multiple people too. It's gonna be, I think, Mark, not Mark, oh God, Kyle Markham from Markham Reptiles, his wife, Courtney, because I love Courtney. He talks about her all the time, and I'm like, I wanna know more about Courtney. So
Right.
they're my power couple goal in the reptile community. Um, Arachnid Cat might be on there. And then I have my little friend Jess from House of Lespood that I asked if she would be
Nice.
willing, and she was like, yeah. And then she was the one, because originally I was like, maybe it'll be just me and her. So you guys should thank her. She was the one that was like, we should do a panel of some other women and girls and other people. So
Yeah,
I think that could
seriously.
totally be fun.
Thank you to her for coming up with that idea. Seriously.
Yeah.
That's smart, man. Not many people talk about that stuff.
I know. And she's like, "Do I have to air out my tea on there?" I was like, "You don't have to spill your tea unless you want to." I
Safe space. Safe space. Oh man. So we
but
got good
there's a
things to
lot
look
to,
forward
yes,
to.
yes. And you too with your little Fangs Out podcast. Good for you, girl.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm still getting the hang of it, I think, but
Yeah,
we'll
you'll
get
get
it as we
there.
go.
You'll get there. I know I started what, like in February, and the more that you do, the more comfortable you get, you
Right.
know. So, you got
Definitely.
this.
Appreciate you.
You got this. You got my support.
I appreciate you. You can listen. This whole group of you and Kat and friggin' even Chris and Mark and everyone. I said
Oh
Mark. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Is that his name?
It's
Did you say
Kyle.
his name?
I know it's
It's
Kyle.
Kyle. It's Kyle.
Sorry, Kyle.
We apologize. I am sorry to this man, but um, no, you guys are great. It's a wonderful family like community, you know.
Yeah,
So I'm
because
very thankful
I
to be part of it.
yeah, I don't usually talk to a lot of people outside of work. So that's like you guys are my I'm not gonna be emotional here. You guys are like my best friends, like my family, my go-to. Like, even if y'all drive me nuts, I'm not gonna lie, Kat, I was a little irritated when y'all were like, "Oh my God, I would never get a pokey like that." Da, 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 da. I was like, I just asked if it was gonna be purple. I know the cons of having a pokey, but I still love you.
That's me too though. We get tarantula keepers and we start going off, we're like, wait, hold on, you got a tarantula? Wait, hold on, what kind of species?
And
Like Facebook is not a
uh,
safe place for me because I'll be on
oh, I
Facebook and
know.
someone asks it and I'm like, they're actually asking this question. I do it all the time.
I'm the same way when it comes to shorties.
I love it. And thank you so much for talking to me about the short tails and the boas
Oh
and the
yeah.
pythons. Like, I think tonight's episode was a lot of information about them, and I love that. I like it. The more information, the better, I think.
And
You
I'm
know,
learning myself too. So we're
definitely.
all learning together. That's the point.
It's a full process.
Mhm.
All right, Ash, well, I'm going to let you go because we went pretty far over. It was
I know
worth
it.
it.
I know. I could have talked all day and night.
Listen, same. I keep talking. It's really crazy. But
All right, guys, we're cutting it off. Bye
we're
bye.
cutting it off. I will see you. Thank you again. Thank you everyone who listened tonight. And tune in next Monday and make sure that you follow this chick over here. Make sure you listen to her podcast because it's solid 10 out of 10. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
See y'all.